Welcome. Today, we board of directors of the Jamestown Community Baseball LLC announced and accepted your invitation to become the new, essentially, general manager. It's got a fancy title. What is it?
The Director of Business and Sales Operations. Yes.
Classy.
I think so, yes. I'm excited.
Well, we're excited to have you. And is sports something that was part of your family growing up? Grandpa, Dad?
Yes, certainly. I think the Kindbergs kind of grew up at Russell E. Dietrich Park. Whether you go back to my dad and my uncle, his cousins, being at the ballpark for the games. I know my cousin at one point was the general manager, Scott Kindberg. My grandfather has been a part of the organization in different roles. My uncles.
Name names?
So my grandfather would have been Harold Kindberg. I know he was a big part of it. Lou Mazie on my mother's side. He's been involved in different capacities throughout the years. But yeah, so a long history of Kindbergs at the ballpark in Jamestown.
Yeah, well, we've seen them all, and your mom, Marie, and your dad, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
You have a brother?
Yes, Luke, who grew up at the ballpark with me. You know, we spent our summers there every year, watching baseball, watching the Jammers, playing Babe Ruth when we got to the point that we were playing at the stadium. So, yeah, the whole family really. It's been a whole family effort. The tradition of baseball in Jamestown is really something that's important to the family. Yeah.
I think I have recollection that your family, at least the male parts of your family, wore New York Mets hats. Is that right?
Yes, big Mets fans. And I was an early adopter of the Mets fandom. Since I've become a Pirates fan, which has been rough these last couple of years, but yeah, mostly Mets fans. Yeah.
So how did you kind of grow up? Were you standard Little League, Babe Ruth type of kid growing up?
Yeah, all those. Playing Little League, Babe Ruth. I was fortunate enough to play in the Jamestown Babe Ruth World Series on the host team in 2011, and that was a great experience. So up through there, then got into high school. Played a lot of high school games, here for JHS. Some in the stadium as well. So that conventional, I think, route for a young baseball player, Little League up through high school, and then played club baseball in college, but just for the love of the game, really enjoyed it. Wanted to keep playing. Yeah.
So the Babe Ruth World Series, what was that like? I mean, you get selected. It's an all-star team, as I recall.
Sure. Yes. Yep. So it was the 15-year-old Babe Ruth World Series, and I was fortunate enough as a 14-year-old to be selected to play, and we had quite a team led by Joe Spoto. The couple of years prior to the tournament. We went to some travel tournaments, Ohio, Pennsylvania, up here in New York, and so it had been a kind of a couple years in the making, that team that I'd been playing with, and that was just a really great experience to play against those caliber players, have an opportunity to pitch against them, hit against them. I mean, it was just very rewarding. Yeah.
Did you guys have any playing teams that were just to kind of throughout? I mean, this is the best of the best.
Sure.
Playing here. What was that particular series experience like?
Yeah, that was really great. It was we were a little overmatched, I would say, but it was just a great experience. I mean, those pitchers throwing as hard as they did, with breaking off those curveballs, and just getting to face that high level, as you mentioned, competition, really was something that a kid from around here doesn't always have the opportunity to do. We have a great baseball development program here in the city, but I mean, just to have a countrywide reach and getting the best of the best here in Jamestown, and the exposure to that, I think, was very beneficial.
So you graduated Jamestown High School. What was your class?
2014.
2014, yeah. And then where?
Then I went to Robert Morris University, which is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was there for 3 years, and then graduated and made my way into the workforce.
3 years, good for you.
Yes, I was. My mother was the coordinator of College Connections at the time, and she was able to help me transfer credits that I had taken at JHS, college credits, and make sure they were going to transfer to the school I selected. So very lucky there. Yeah.
And for the record, your mother principally runs Jamestown Community College.
Yeah, she just recently took a job at the Jamestown Community College Foundation, so she'll be. I think she actually started this week or last. So, but yeah, she's been at the college for a while now, and just been a great resource for kid, any kid, but particularly me. Yeah.
So Robert Morris, and then you kind of get your degree, and you wonder, what the heck am I getting? What was your degree in, by the way?
It was in sport management. Yeah. So I had an idea that this is kind of what I wanted to do, and hoping when I got to school that I'd be able to explore it more and really see if it was right for me, and it certainly was. Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, sports management programs are a lot of schools offer them. Mm-hmm. What kind of courses do you take there?
Well, so we take a lot of interesting courses. The sports-centered courses are usually sports sales and sports marketing focused, particularly in social media now, which has been more important. But really, the sales aspect is really stressed at least at Robert Morris in my program, because most of the jobs that you see nowadays for a college student who wants to get into sports is going to be sales related. So they really keyed in on that.
So you got a chance to do some work in Pittsburgh with Robert Morris, and what kind of internship programs did they have available?
Oh, so they had. I was very lucky. Robert Morris had a very intricate web of connections in the sports community. They host the RMU Sport Management Conference every year in October. So as a freshman, I went to that conference along with most of my sport management classmates. And we had the opportunity to mingle with, learn from, and kind of network with industry insiders from dozens of NBA, MLB, NFL teams all come in. And that's really kind of what set me on my course for my internships. That's where I met the president of the Erie Bayhawks, Matt Brzee. The Erie Bayhawks are an NBA G League affiliate of the now New Orleans Pelicans. At the time, it was the Orlando Magic, and I was fortunate enough to get a sales internship with the Bayhawks, and that kind of I later returned to the Bayhawks, and that kind of got me on my path towards sports sales. After that internship, I actually interned with the Jammers the first year that they were a college summer league team. And then after that, with the Pittsburgh Three Rivers Marathon, I was an operations intern. So all that to say, at Robert Morris, they really strongly motivated you to get out and get as many of these internships as you can and get real work experience that's really going to lend itself down the road.
As these organizations, do they pull in best practices from the majors or the affiliates that they have relationships with?
Yeah, certainly. The example I'd give is the team marketing and business operations branch of the NBA. So as a affiliate of the NBA in Erie with the Bayhawks, we were fortunate enough to meet several times with a team business and team marketing and business operations consultant that would come in on location and share with us the best practices of all the properties of the NBA, WNBA, NBA teams, and the G League. So had a lot of exposure to sports sales best practices, and kind of looking to bring that here. Yeah.
As a result of that, do you have opportunity to reach out to them after they provide the information, saying, all right, I've now been at this for 6 months, can you critique me? Is that out there?
Sure, yeah, they definitely do a lot of that. I would say those consultants come on location 2 to 3 times a year, but they're always open for communication beyond that. And I was fortunate enough to develop some relationships with some of those consultants, and can when I need to bounce some ideas off, get some constructive criticism, as you mentioned, and kind of be advised that way.
As you heard about the availability of the opening here of the Jamestown Community Baseball position, we're during this interim, unfortunately, where there is no baseball, we're looking forward to it. But what did you learn about the organization, Jamestown Community Baseball, and kind of the league itself?
Yeah, so I had a kind of from the outside looking in, had a little information on the league and the organization, doing a lot of reading through the Post-Journal, and of course my connections from before within the organization. And what really struck me as kind of important is the kind of unique management structure here. A local group of board of directors, a local group of investors, and just like a really community-based organization and becoming a community asset. And that's really what struck me when I was learning more about the organization. And then for the league, I think Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League is a good opportunity. It kind of positions Jamestown Community Baseball and the Tarp Skunks well to kind of fit into that June, July window where there's a need for outdoor entertainment, specifically in the community. So I think those are a great fit.
So you spent a year in Spain teaching English there. And you read in the paper that there is going to be a new name changing from Jammers to Tarp Skunks. What was your first reaction?
I liked it. First reaction, I like the name. I know there's certainly a trend. We discussed earlier about best practices in the sports industry, and there's a trend now when rebranding a team to go after a catchy name, one that's maybe more unique than in the past or other teams have. And I think that Tarp Skunks captures that unique name, but also the history of the organization, the history of baseball in Jamestown, with Howard Emke and the infield tarp, of course, and then the Skunks that have always been part of Dietrich Park and the surrounding area. So I think again, that uniqueness and the local ties is really important, and I think it looks good. Looks good on this hat. Looks good. I like the name. Yeah.
When you were interviewing for the job, you put together a very impressive 18-page marketing, sales, and community initiatives, Tarp Skunks. You did a lot of work.
Thank you.
How did you pull this together?
Well, so this, I'll mention again kind of the best practices that I was exposed to. So, this is a lot of the same thing. These initiatives, these sales kind of pamphlets, the way you approach different sales. This is all really sport business best practice that I've been exposed to at my time in Erie, and had some success with these particular initiatives. And again, Teambo being a big part of the source of knowledge.
As you look forward to this year, at the same time, there's quite a bit of upheaval going on in the minor league systems, with the potential of maybe eliminating 40 plus teams. How do you think that impacts an unaffiliated independent league like ours?
Yeah, the way it seems, as you mentioned, the way it seems that minor league baseball is heading with a reduced amount of affiliated teams, I think that positions a league like ours, a team like the Tarp Skunks, uniquely to kind of be on the forefront of the next wave of player development in the United States. In my opinion, it seems as though these college leagues are really going to be in the future a increasingly vital part of the player development system. If there's not as many kids in the minor league system, those kids are still going to want to play ball. There's still going to be scouts at those major league organizations that are always looking for the next talent. So I think we're kind of the Tarp Skunks at the forefront of this next wave is key, and I think we're very well positioned to be right at the forefront.
So if you crystal ball yourself for 5 years from now, where would you like to be?
Well, I'd like to see a Tarp Skunks team that's won 4 or 5 championships, but additionally, I'd like to be really well positioned as a community asset here in Jamestown, and I think we already are to a great extent. But however that we can be beneficial, we as the Tarp Skunks can be beneficial to this community, making sure that Jamestown and baseball, which has been such a staple in Jamestown, remains here with help, the help that we can provide to organizations in the Jamestown community. Where can we, best help, an organization, a small business, how can we partner with the Comedy Center, all those organizations. So, to answer your question, the 5-year, the crystal ball, really just well-established community relations, expanding on those already well-established relationships, and having a successful season year after year with thousands and thousands of people in the ballpark.
So you open up your sock drawer,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a baseball card or two in there of your favorite players as you were growing up as a kid. Who might it be that I would find?
McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen would be the first name immediately. I was fortunate enough to be at Andrew McCutchen's first major league game. Saw his first major league hit. I was actually very upset at the time because that means the Pirates had just traded Nate McLouth, their center fielder, my fan favorite of mine. He was my guy, the guy I looked up to. They traded him. Very disappointed. But that day we show up to the game, and who's this Andrew McCutchen guy? This rookie, I don't know who he is, and he gets his first major league hit, and that was probably the impetus for my Pirates fandom right there, and just McCutchen eventually leading them to those 3 straight wild card games, the division series. I kind of grew up. My baseball fandom kind of grew with him, and so he's the first one. Some other ones quickly would probably be maybe some lesser known guys, not in this community. Dan Barone and Brett Carroll, who were both former Jammers. Had the opportunity as a kid to meet them at the Jamestown Jammers Hot Stove that used to be held every year, and the clinic that went along with that. I got to meet them, talk to them for a while. So I guess I would look back to them in my childhood as some other favorites. Yeah.
Well, now that you are the hot shot that you are with the Tarp Skunks and have ability to negotiate social media, we have interviews with both of those guys, Brett Carroll and Barone. So
yeah.
Put that up.
Well, we definitely have to put those up there. Yes, and I'd like to watch those just myself. Yeah.
So if there's a final message as you launch into something effective September 1st, what might that be to the fans of the community?
Well, I'd like to stress that we'll definitely be here next year. We're going to be playing ball, and I really look forward to providing a family-friendly, entertaining atmosphere at the stadium that is entertaining for all. Whether you're there to watch the game and only watch the game, we're going to have some great baseball on the field for you. Whether you're there to come with your kids and they want to run around the concourse like I did as a young kid, and maybe you and your wife or you and your partner are going to watch the game, great. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Or if you just want to come, you want to hang out with your friends, maybe you're just looking for something to do, give the Jammers, give the Tarp Skunks now an opportunity to be that place where you can come and have a good time. So I'd really stress there's going to be a lot of good times at Russell E. Dietrich Park, and I think everybody in the community should be a part of that, and that certainly extends to small businesses. And I'd kind of finish that point by saying, if there's any small businesses that are interested in working with us, I'm all ears. Anything we can do. How can the Tarp Skunks continue to be a community asset? And that goes beyond the games at the field. How can we, drive traffic into your doors? How can we help you promote? How can we do anything? How can we do anything to help you? If there's a feasible way that we can do that, I really want to be part of the fabric of the Jamestown community.
Thank you. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.